Rahim. CPR and COVID-19 is my today's topic. I am Dr. Ruhi Ilyas, in charge American Heart Association. In NICVD, we perform number of courses for CPR, BLS, ACLS, and pediatric advanced life support, and run an anticoagulation clinic. Now, under Piamis Health Foundation, we are running a free clinic, Mohammed Meher Elahi Clinic, for heart and diabetes. Now proceed to a small presentation of CPR and COVID-19. Cardiac arrest is a leading cause of death all over the world. In the US data of 2016, 350,000 cases reported, and American Journal of Emergency Medicine reports 70% of these cases occurred in patients' homes. Approximately 200,000 cardiac arrests occur each year in hospitals. Now, cardiac arrest is even more of a concern in patients with COVID-19. And you recognize cardiac arrest, look for the absence of signs of life and normal breathing. Feel for a carotid pulse if trained to do so. But do not bring your mouth close to feel his breathing, or placing your ear and cheek close to the patient's mouth. Respiration should be ascertained by movement on the chest. When calling emergency, state the risk of COVID-19. Person has COVID-19 positive. And then the procedures and treatment that generate aerosols such as endotracheal intubation, bronchoscopy, open suctioning, manual ventilation before intubation, and CPR can cause spread of COVID-19. CDC and American Heart Association recommendation for CPR, endotracheal intubation, and non-invasive ventilation are as follows. Aerosol generating procedures should ideally be performed in airborne infection isolation rooms, and the healthcare providers must have adequate respiratory personal protective equipment, that is N95 respirators. Air should be appropriately cleaned and disinfected after each procedure. Limit number of providers available for aerosol generating procedures. Rapid sequence intubation should be adopted for patients requiring intubation. Avoid procedures that may generate aerosols, including bag valve masks, nebulizers, and non-invasive positive pressure ventilation. Adopt endotracheal intubation for acute respiratory failure to avoid use of high-flow nasal oxygenation. First responders. So emergency medical dispatchers should screen callers for COVID-19, and pre-hospital care providers, healthcare facilities, and other necessary providers should be notified in advance of any patient needing emergency transport. Hand hygiene and infection prevention strategies should be followed by emergency medical services, clinicians, and staff. Transport. Ideally, there should be an isolated driver compartment in transport vehicles, and all individuals, including driver, must be separated from the patient with COVID-19, and all should wear the mask, face masks. If aerosol generating procedures need to be performed during EMS transport, then HVAC system should be on, and transport vehicles' rear doors should be open. Bag valve mask and other ventilator equipment used should have high efficiency particulate air HEPA filtration for expired air. Patient with known or suspected COVID-19 should be cared for in a single person room with the door closed. An airborne infection isolation room should be reserved for patients undergoing aerosol generating procedures like CPR. N95 respirators or respirators that offer a high level of protection should be used instead of face masks during aerosol generating procedures. EMS specialists should practice standard precautions, that is hand hygiene, eye protection, face mask, disposable gloves, and gown, in evaluating patients with possible COVID-19. Dispatchers should screen patients for possible symptoms and signs of COVID-19. If any healthcare provider discovers that a patient may have COVID-19 without any precautions initiated, the initial interview should be conducted at a distance of about 6 feet until a mask can be applied on the patient's face. If required CPR in the field, bag valve mask and other respiratory equipment should be equipped with HEPA filters. If an aerosol generating procedure is necessary in the ambulance, it is recommended to open the back doors and perform the procedures away from any crowd. The ambulance HVAC system should be activated during the procedure. Neighbors or other contacts should not ride in the ambulance with the patient with suspected COVID-19. Ambulance drivers should also be kept completely isolated from the patient. In vehicles that cannot achieve this separation, the outside air vents near the driver should be opened, while the rear exhaust ventilation fans should be running on maximum, creating a negative pressure airflow. CDC also recommends that hospitals should designate entire units with dedicated healthcare provider in their facility to care for the patients with COVID-19 infection. They also suggest that healthcare providers in such units should change gloves and gowns between patients with COVID-19 infection, but not necessarily for face mask and eye protection. Patients with COVID-19 infection and respiratory failure should promptly undergo rapid sequence intubation with appropriate personal protective equipment. Once suitably clothed, start chest compression only CPR, and monitor the patient's cardiac arrest rhythm as soon as possible. Do not do mouth-to-mouth ventilation or use a pocket mask. If the patient is already receiving supplemental oxygen therapy using a face mask, leave the mask on the patient's face during chest compressions, as this may limit aerosol spread. If not in situ but one is readily available, put a simple oxygen mask on the patient's face. Indicated that if a patient is intubated with a cuffed endotracheal tube connected to a ventilator with a high efficiency particulate air, that is HEPA filter in the path of exhaled gas and an inline suction catheter, the resultant closed circuit will have less stress for particle aerosolization than other forms of positive pressure ventilation. The guidance also recommends that available, attach a HEPA filter in the path of any exhaled gas for manual or mechanical ventilation devices before administering any breaths. Second, before intubation, use a back mask device or T-piece in units with a HEPA filter and tight seal. It is readily available. Defibrillate shockable rhythms rapidly prior to starting chest compressions. The early restoration of circulation may prevent the need for further resuscitation measures. Local guidance must be followed about equipment entering the area. Okay. Rescuers should consider replacing manual chest compressions with mechanical CPR if it is available for patients who meet the manufacturer's height and weight criteria. COVID-19 status should be communicated to any new providers before arrival on the scene or when transferring the patient to a second setting. Oxygenation ventilation strategies. For adults, consider passive oxygenation with non-rebreathing face mask covered by a surgical mask. Consider manual ventilation if intubation is delayed with a supraglottic airway or back mask device with a HEPA filter. Tracheal intubation or supraglottic airway insertion must only be attempted by individuals who are experienced and competent in this procedure. During prolonged CPR, identify and treat any reversible causes, 5 H's and 5 T's, before considering stopping CPR. Post-resuscitation debrief is important and should be planned. Procedure: dispose of or clean all equipment used during CPR. Any work surfaces used for airway resuscitation equipment will also need to be cleaned. Remove personal protective equipment safely to avoid self-contamination and dispose of clinical waste bags as per local guidelines. Hand hygiene has an important role in decreasing transmission. Thoroughly wash hands with soap and water. Alternatively, alcohol hand rub is also effective. Thank you for your attention and patient listening.